Authentic connections. Deepening authentic connections. Hi, my name is Sandra, and welcome to Tap the Soul. Here we talk about mindfulness, intentional living, and a few other things. But today we're going to talk about week 8 of week 12 of Whispers Behind My Smile. It's a program, a journey within of self love, self nurturing, and a lot of self discovery I'm coming to realize as I go through this week to week. If you're interested in joining, drop me a comment below or send me a message, and I would love to have you participate. It's prioritizing you amongst life, and you can join whenever you want and start whenever you want. If you're interested in looking at any of the reflection prompts that I'm going to talk about today or over the last 7 weeks, you can find it here on YouTube on the post tab, formerly called communities, now called post. If you look there, you will see that I've posted each week a bunch of reflection prompts slash questions to provoke thought. So whether you are writing in a journal, a notebook, or using an app on your phone, take a moment and ask yourself a couple of questions. So the prompts for this week are um, focused around authentic connections. And I'm just going to grab my phone and pull up the prompts. And again, I guess the question for me is always trying to understand what am I looking to gain in terms of knowledge and wisdom throughout the week to week exercises that I do. There's a few other things that I do, and I don't really talk about it publicly. I really just post here. I share the prompts. If you're also on Instagram, you can find me there, Tap the Soul. The prompts are also located there, and it's been a learning experience for me. And the last couple of weeks have actually been hard. And last week, I just rewatched my post from last week. I'll put a link in the description below where I talked about finding your strength and inner confidence and taking you back through maybe some dark moments on when you really had to apply that strength to get yourself through. And for me, it was associated to the loss of somebody that I genuinely loved and being able to be resilient to move on and move through that. I'm still healing many decades later, but it's the journey that I am willing to put myself through now, going through week to week, discovering who I am as a result of many things of my past. So, um, 3 prompts for you this week. Prompt number 1: how do I show up authentically in my relationships? Prompt number 2: what are some of the fears or barriers that prevent you from being vulnerable? I kind of have that answer ready because I think I talked about it last week. So I will definitely share that momentarily. And then the last prompt: what steps can I take to deepen my connections this week? My answer for that one will probably surprise me more than anything because it wasn't really where I was focused, but it's definitely somewhere where I do need to focus. So let's go back to prompt number 1. How do I show up authentically in my relationships? I just show up. Let me clarify. So, yes, I just show up. Depending on the person, place, or thing that I am showing up at, into, around, with, it will determine whether I feel safe, protected, loved, respected to show up as my full, authentic self with no barriers, no guards, no nothing, just showing up raw and vulnerable because I feel safe to do so. When I'm in scenarios where that is not the situation, I still show up authentically, but I show up authentically with a guard around me to protect me. Um, I found that that is the way that I have been able to cope and survive through most of my life. And I've always tried to figure out how I can get rid of it. But it always comes up that I need to put it back into the mix of my life to be able to protect myself from other authentic people that just don't align with how I operate or how I flow. So for me, I always show up authentically. It will just determine the environment, the person that will allow me to do so and be unguarded, right? Um, Prompt number 2: what fears or barriers prevent me from being vulnerable? So last week when I talked about this, I did touch on what was preventing me from being confident. I talked about the fact that I do lack some self confidence, and I've been working on that um, quite diligently. even with some setbacks and recent setbacks. For me, one of the fears or barriers is not feeling like I'm enough. And that was the affirmation that stuck with me last week and is sticking with me this week, right? That fear that I am not enough, that I am not worthy, that that I'm not safe to be vulnerable around people. Um, yeah, yeah, that pretty much sums it up. And there's a whole bunch of stuff behind that, right? Like a lot of that stuff could be based on, I'm looking at notes that I wrote down. So a lot of that stuff could be based on I'm gonna say things that happened to me throughout my childhood, things that happened to me throughout my teenage years, things that have happened to me throughout my adulthood. When you don't have the right system in place to buffer and protect you to heal from different traumas, you carry them through and they shape you into the person that you are today that you may or may not want to be. And then you got to do the work to reinvent yourself or to reevaluate yourself or, yeah, yeah, I'll go with that. So for me, when I'm thinking about this, a lot of childhood stuff comes up. So when I talk about not feeling like I'm enough and not feeling worthy, it always felt like I could never do the right things without being reprimanded on not being as good as one of my siblings, quite frankly. Depending on which sibling it was and what I did, I was always being compared to a sibling. I'm the baby of my family. And it's hard when you're always feeling like you're in somebody else's shadow and that you never actually get light put on yourself. So you don't have the confidence to step out because every time you step out, you feel like you're being pushed back into a corner because you're not as good as, or you're being forced to figure out how to be better than just to be seen. And that's family. But the same is applied with friends where you feel like you don't fit in or you don't belong, you're not cool enough, um, you're not gangster enough, you're not black enough, you're not corporate enough. The list goes on and on and on. And these are those things that you sometimes don't even realize that you're carrying with you, but you are carrying them with you and they are shaping you on who you are and how you interact. So, prompt number three is talking about what am I going to do to deepen my connections this week. And for me, I'm actually going to sit down and really get serious about having boundaries in place to protect me. And I say this because I show up authentically. If I'm for you, I'm for you, and you'll know that I'm for you, and I will put you above myself. Family, friends, loved ones, those who are around and know me historically from childhood to now will know that I will always end up putting somebody else ahead of me. And that has been my downfall. And I say that because by putting other people in front of me because you want to attain their love, show them your loyalty, have them respect you, is actually been giving them the opportunity to totally disrespect you because you've allowed them to treat you however they want to because you're always showing them that you're there for them. So for me this week, I'm focusing on boundaries. I don't have a lot of friends and I don't have a lot of family members that I stay in touch with. And I've had to live with that over the years as my circle keeps shrinking. Over the last year, my circle has drastically shrunk even further. And it's not easy, but whatever's to be has to be. And I always say, with love, have fun, be well. I don't have any malice towards anybody, friends or family, but you also want to know that you are trying to figure out why you are not good enough to still be a part of, why you're not good enough to be loved, why you don't feel safe with certain people to be vulnerable, to deepen those connections. And for that, I say, me right now, it's boundaries. I do need to reevaluate the people that are closest to me to really understand the purpose that I have in their life and the purpose that they have in my life. Again, when we go through various traumas and moments in our life, we adapt certain habits and behaviors to cope and to survive. And there comes a point in your life when you're doing a self discovery like I've been doing, you really got to question the people, places, and spaces. And I've been saying this for months now, but I'm really realizing how much I have not sat down and been diligent about who has access to me and why they have access to me. And it's family, it's friends, it's coworkers, it's business partners. They're like, no one is exempt from that evaluation. And you really do need to sit down and realize that, are you pouring into cups that are not pouring into you? Or are there cups pouring into you that you need to sit down and invest that time and pour back into? And for me, that is my focus this week. So I'm going to get ready to wrap up here. But I just want to say that if you are taking this journey with me and you are also here at week 8, I am wishing you love, strength, grace, and guidance as you are evaluating the connections that you have and looking at how you can deepen those connections. For me, my focus will be, how do I put the right boundaries in place as I evaluate the people in my life, and also the people who aren't in my life that I want in my life? What am I going to do to allow them to have space and place within my life? And that is more healing on my part, but I have to be able to allow people in who are authentically looking to connect with me and me looking to connect with them, and have the boundaries in place to still protect myself as I move through day-to-day life, right? So, wrapping up here, again, the questions, the prompts, the reflection prompts, grab a piece of paper, write in your notes app or in your journal. Take a moment and just ask yourself. Maybe you're just doing your thing and the question will pop up in your mind and you're just mindlessly thinking about what your answer is. I always say write it down. I just think when you write something down, you give it more life. And sometimes even the ugly things need life in order to be put to rest and to be addressed. Take the time, focus on the people, pour into people that are pouring into you, pour into people that you want to pour into. And most importantly, prioritize yourself and pour into yourself. You can find me at Instagram at TaptheSoul. And you could also find the reflection prompts on the post tab here on YouTube. Um, Enjoy the rest of your week. And I look forward to speaking to you all again soon. Peace, love, and blessings.